Under siege, the residents of Gaza facing electricity blackouts and struggling to access their basic needs.
Washington shows its solidarity with Tel Aviv by a visit from its Secretary of State just 5 days after Israel suffers its largest terrorist attack in history.
Rolling airstrikes by Israeli forces have reduced homes to rubble. The United Nations says at least 120,000 Palestinians have nowhere to live. Israel says it's targeting locations occupied by Hamas militants in response to the group's attack on Saturday.
فيش كهرباء عندنا يعني خلاص اما الميه زي ما بنقول من الحنفيه هذه للبيت وبالنسبه للاكل في بعض محلات بتفتح بندبر حالنا نشتري عقدنا.
Some businesses are still open, but the power supply is unreliable. The Israeli government says electricity will only be restored when Hamas frees the hostages it kidnapped during the weekend's attack. Life without power is difficult, but finding basic goods is getting harder.
زحمة فيش مجال تجيب بشكل خبز بدك تقعد بالثلاث ساعات عشان تجيب لك بشكل خبز. وهي بنلف من مخبز لمخبز بتوزع الأولاد عشان واحد بس نضمن إن نجيب خبز وبعدين بعطيك حصة. طب اللي عنده 8 تنفار هذول تعطيني نص ربطة.
It's not just homes that have been damaged or destroyed. Hospitals and ambulances have also been hit, and Palestinian medics killed in Gaza.
ايش سوينا لهم؟ ليش هيك؟ طلع الدور دار انهدمت على اصحابها بدون سابق انذار، احنا مدنيين، ليش هيك بصير فينا؟ احنا كل ما بدنا حالنا بغزة بيودوا لنا اياه، ايش بنعمل احنا؟ ايش بنسوي؟ احنا نفسنا يكون لنا زينا زي اي دولة ثانية، يكون لنا محلات شغل نسافر نطلع ننزل، مش نصحى من سنة لسنة على حرب نتوقع كل يوم دمار، يعني ايش ذنبنا؟
A group of independent UN experts says Israel's strikes on Gaza amount to collective punishment. The UN itself says Israel's siege of Gaza is unlawful.
Hamas's latest attack against Israel is one that required exceptional logistics. So how did the group bypass Israel's world-renowned intelligence services, and who financed the operation? Joost Hilterman says analog tactics were used in a world where, quote, digital war has become the norm.
We have to keep in mind, we're talking about a very low level of sophistication when it comes to military hardware. In the end, what did they use? They used some hang gliders, powered hang gliders. Well, you can get them on the open market. They used regular rifles and small arms. They used motorcycles and pickup trucks. They used some drones and explosives. And of course, they fired rockets, but most of the rockets are not sophisticated.
Some experts suspect Iran is financing Hamas's attacks due to its political interests. But is it possible to verify Tehran's involvement in last Saturday's operation? Dr. Sajan Gohel from the London-based Asia-Pacific Foundation seems to think so.
Along with the sheer ferocity of imagination, the scale of it, preventing any leakage of information. So you also have to factor in that Hamas has got a lot of support, tactical, strategic, and financial backing from Iran, who have been able to operate in many ways in various guises around the world. So Hamas may be taking a leaf out of Iran's book. There should be no doubt that one of the motivations behind the Hamas operation was to prevent normalization of ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Now, the Biden administration appeared to be close to brokering a normalization of ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia, which Iran strongly opposed.
Washington shows its solidarity with Tel Aviv by a visit from its Secretary of State just 5 days after Israel suffered its largest terrorist attack in history. The United States has called for a proportionate response. During his meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister, Antony Blinken carried a message of solidarity for the Israeli people, whilst Netanyahu was unrelenting.
The message that I bring to Israel is this. You may be strong enough on your own to defend yourself, but as long as America exists, you will never ever have to. We will always be there by your side.
Hamas should be treated exactly the way ISIS was treated. They should be spit out from the community of nations. No leader should meet them. No country should harbor them. And those that do should be sanctioned.
Blinken has confirmed that there are at least 25 US citizens amongst those killed in the Hamas attacks. On Friday, he will meet with Palestinian National Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, who has maintained silence since last Saturday. Vladimir Putin has arrived in Kyrgyzstan in his first trip outside of Russia since his indictment by the International Criminal Court. The Russian president is in the Central Asian country to take part in a summit of the Commonwealth of Independent States, which brings together former members of the Soviet Union. The Hague-based court has issued an arrest warrant for Putin over alleged deportations of children from Ukraine. Signatories to the court's founding treaty are obliged to detain him if he enters their territory, but Kyrgyzstan has never signed up to the court. Armenia's parliament has voted to ratify the treaty in the aftermath of Azerbaijan's recent seizure of Nagorno-Karabakh. Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan is not among the CIS leaders taking part in the gatherings.
Ongoing localized Russian offensive operations near Avdiivka likely demonstrate the ability of Russian forces to learn and apply tactical battlefield lessons in Ukraine. The geolocated footage from the 10th and the 11th of October shows that Russian troops advanced southwest of Avdiivka close to Severne here in this area, and also northwest of Avdiivka near Stepove and Krasnohorivka in this area. According to Russian sources, instead of employing human wave-style meat assaults, Russian forces are likely effectively employing electronic warfare systems, counter-battery artillery preparations, aerial reconnaissance and others. The Institute for the Study of War assesses that these adaptations, however, are unlikely to translate into wider operational and strategic gains for Russian forces. Geolocated footage shows that Russian gains around Avdiivka are concentrated to the southwest of Avdiivka, and Russian forces have not completed an operational encirclement and will likely struggle to do so if that is their intent. Avdiivka is also a notoriously well-fortified and defended Ukrainian stronghold, which will likely complicate Russian forces' ability to closely approach or fully capture the settlement. The hypothetical capture of Avdiivka will not open new routes of advance to the rest of Donetsk region. As the Institute for the Study of War previously assessed, Russian forces likely intend attacks in the Avdiivka area to fix Ukrainian forces and prevent them from redeploying to the other areas of the front. However, Ukrainian officials have already identified the Avdiivka push as a Russian fixing operation, and they're unlikely to unduly commit Ukrainian manpower to this axis.
Sunday's election in Poland could be crucial for the future of the EU. The country's two main parties, the Conservative Nationalist right-wing Law and Justice Party, currently in power, and the liberal pro-European right-wing Civil Platform are both unlikely to be able to form a government alone. Members of the European Parliament realise the importance of the vote, but are all hoping for different outcomes.
La Polonia ha acquisito in quest'ultimo anno e mezzo un ruolo ancora più importante per la sua fortissima opposizione alle politiche espansioniste di Putin in Ucraina, e quindi una conferma della maggioranza di governo andrebbe in continuità con questa scelta e sarebbe certamente un fattore di stabilità per la postura geopolitica dell'Unione Europea nel suo complesso.
I would say that the main difference is that the current opposition has clearly taken a constructive stance when it comes to engaging on the European level. So when we see the challenges that are ahead of us, be it around the question how are we going to shape the green transformation, migration politics, also other issues, they have maybe taken conservative standpoints, but they are constructive in engaging on the European level.
The current Polish government has been taking a hostile attitude towards the EU for many years now. The main clash between Warsaw and Brussels concerns respect for the rule of law and independence of the judiciary from political influence.
Continue violazioni a un certo punto genereranno delle tensioni anche con gli altri Paesi membri dell'Unione e alla fine, a mio parere, si potrebbero creare anche dei problemi nei meccanismi di funzionamento dell'Unione, che funziona ad oggi con un costante assedio all'interno, no? Da parte di uno dei Paesi membri.
On Sunday, Brussels will keep an eye not only on the elections but also on the Polish government's referendum, which contains 4 questions. One of which will ask Poles if they support the admission of what the government calls illegal immigrants from the Middle East and Africa, in line with the EU's mandatory relocation rules designed to ease the burden on the bloc's border countries.
It's a long way from a cow chopped in half and preserved in a tank of formaldehyde, but these paintings are by Damien Hirst. He may have been the enfant terrible of the British art scene, but now he seems to have calmed down. The Secret Gardens painting series is being shown for the first time at the Frieze London Art Fair, which will run from the 11th to the 15th of October. From small beginnings, Frieze has become an international fair with sister shows in Los Angeles, New York and Seoul.